Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series. We're probably about halfway through our day of Group A of the Redemption Series, and we've seen two matches. We saw Chiang and we saw Ignite move on to the semifinals.
Yep. And now we have Savjz and Trump waiting on the other end. Now remember, only one person goes to the land. It's best of 5 conquest, and whoever goes to the land gets flown to California. Now I know some people are like, yes, Europe, or yes, China, or Asia. But Trump's also in California, so I know ESL is like, yes,
Yes,
Trump. Save our budget.
Yeah, all the numbers guys are in their office right now,
Crunching it.
hoping Trump makes that a lot. But I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I mean, I'd be happy if any of these players makes it through because all these are strong players.
These are 4 players that are like, that's cool.
Yeah, 4 players with unique and cool play styles. Chiang with his crazy off-the-wall decks. Savjz is sort of an unpredictable conquest player. You never know what type of decks he's going to bring.
The Hobgoblin Paladin.
The Hobgoblin Paladin. Trump, on the other hand, is actually quite predictable. He streams pretty much all of his interactions with Hearthstone. You can almost you can guess what he's going to play in the upcoming tournament by what he's played on ladder most recently during his stream. And Ignite's a player that's hard to read. Will normally bring some type of mage, but even when he does, you never know if it's going to be freeze or if it's going to be Fel Reaver Mech Mage. So it's just a really cool lineup of semifinalists. And this next matchup, especially Chiang versus Savjz, is really going to be exciting just because of the decks that Chiang brings alone. Disregarding what Savjz could even do, this series will be entertaining.
Yeah, that's right. We have a very interesting matchup with Savjz versus Chiang. The warrior from Chiang is a Gadget Sand Auctioneer, and the warlock is a OTK. We've got Arcane Golem with pretty much every tech under the sun.
Yeah.
He's got Kazan Mystic, 2 weapon removals in Harrison and the Acidic Swamp Ooze. He's got Twisting Nether.
I don't even know if Twisting Nether is even in the category of tech cards.
I mean, it is now.
I suppose so. He didn't even use it in Game 1, but just the fact that he has it makes the deck 10 times cooler.
He passed a turn with 7 mana floating because I think he had some lag issues.
Yeah.
And he still won.
Still won.
That's how hard he teched against Warrior. He also has Hunter, a Face Hunter, which is really aggressive. I don't really know if Savjz can handle it too much. He might just let that one go. And then he's going to fight at a little bit of a series disadvantage. He's got his own Warlock, which we don't know about. Warrior could be the control or the Dragon control, which he's been one of the players that have been trying to make it work.
Yeah.
So if there's a player to bring the Dragon Warrior, I would say Savjz definitely could be the one going for it, but I know Patron Warrior is also really powerful, and Savjz really likes decks where it involves counting and stuff. Miracle Rogue was one of his favorite decks for such a long time because he loved the dynamic of it, of the counting, the really tight rope edge that you have to always fight on.
Yeah.
And then there's the Mech Shaman, which recently won him a lot of money at the Streamathon.
Yeah, a little bit different of an environment, but it was still really cool to watch, and like that push that he made at the end. Realizing the strengths of Mech Shaman and being able to go on a win rate.
How
like that.
sick would it be if Savjz just whipped out Dragon Shaman?
He was practicing
just
with some
Blackwing,
variation.
Corruptor, Fire Elemental, back-to-back board tempo plays.
Well, I was experimenting with a Dragon Shaman deck during the week that was sort of played like the Ancestral's Call Malaga Shaman, where you would just play board control early, like get your value creatures out early with the Blackwing Corruptor and the Technician, and then Ancestral's Call for burst later on in the game. Works similarly to sort of the Warlock, Dragon Warlock with Malagos and Soulfires. Gotcha. Don't play that Shaman, because it's bad.
It is atrocious.
Because the amount of times that I Ancestral's Call out in like an unbuffed the Blackwing Technician, and my opponent gets like a Ragnaros.
No way. Seriously?
Happens a lot more than you'd think. At least in the small sample size of like 6 games that I played, and I lost all 6.
Fair enough.
But this is Savjz's first appearance today, so I just want to go over a couple little stats from him that over his course in Legendary Series. He actually had a really impressive week. We saw him in week number 3. His overall game score was 9 wins, 7 losses, so pretty good, especially considering he got 0-3'd in the finals by Cobby. He had victories over Lead Paint, Cobby, who eventually won. They had a rematch in the finals, and Chalky, actually 3-0'd Chalky, who was the other invited player for that week. He, if you remember back correctly, he brought the 3 aggro decks, which he said it didn't seem to work out for him in the later parts of the tournament once people sort of figured it out, and especially against Cobby's decks, who are very anti-aggro focus with the Ramju and the Warrior. But he said he didn't regret bringing it. And he played really well, and it was really close. You could tell he was defeated by his loss. But I think that he's going to want to have a really strong showing to sort of redeem himself. I mean, that's the point of the redemption tournament, to redeem yourself. So, excited to see what he's got in store for us.
Sounds good. Well, now we do have the combo Warlock, and we'll see if he can find that redemption here in this tournament against Savjz, who did finish second in Week 3 of the Legendary Series. He's curving out okay so far, just needs a 3-drop and he'll be set. The thing about the OTK Warlock is that hypothetically, on paper, you should be okay against aggro because you have so much defensiveness against it. The big challenge against the OTK is how you scale against, big control decks. You can't handle huge bombs like Ragnaros without your Siphon Souls. But this is a lot of damage. I mean, this is a ton of damage coming in, and if Chiang taps here, he's going to be helping him get to that a little bit closer.
Yeah. There's also some inconsistencies against aggro. If you don't draw into your removal quick enough, or your tech cards quick enough, sometimes it can be too late, or sometimes you have to use so much resources to remove that eventually you just don't have enough damage to win the game yourself. Like, you don't have enough to push back on the other end. Because a lot of times against aggro, you're not going to be able to draw into your full combo.
Well, this game might be over in just a couple more turns. Oh, that is pretty tempting. That is really tempting, considering that you would have 13 damage next turn. That is like a lethal push. But Savjz decides to just go for the more tried and true play. You know what? It won't matter because his opponent, even if he kills it, another Whirling Zap-O-Matic will come out of it. Oh, sorry, he doesn't kill. Oh, no reaction from Savjz. Fell Reaver comes down, and that might be too much.
Yeah, I mean, even if he manages to stabilize what's on the board,
like he can't get past this. Oh, now he can. But I was like, but can't really get past easily, and play the Sludge Belcher, right? He needs like Big Game Hunter now.
And that's the
Doomsayer.
Oh,
nope.
10 damage. He can
game over.
He can Earth Ring Farseer and technically live for another turn, but doesn't even want to. Gonna die anyway. Wow, that is the quickest game that we've seen so far.
Yeah, implosions are a really good. That's like a really good example of the opposite. And everyone always looked at implosion as like the 4 damage, is how it's crazy. But if you look at it for 2 damage and creating 2 1/1s, it's just way too, way too weak, I guess. Yeah. And because it doesn't have a high enough impact onto the board, that's the variance of that makes it really difficult. Now, of course, whether there's 2 or 4 damage is supposed to be part of the fun range of it, but that's the risk that you run as the OTK Warlock. Because
the fun range.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I call it.
Okay. Move on.
It is fun for some people. If it's a 2, your opponent's having fun. If it's a 4, you're having fun. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And 3,
everybody's having fun.
Everyone's having fun.
Yeah.
Because it's a great card. The thing about the OTK Warlock is that because you have things like the Implosion and you need to draw a sequence into things correctly, you have a lot of good responses to the right situations, but it's a lot like Priest. And I know this because me and Savjz took an OTK Warlock to Seed Story Cup combined, and we collaborated on it together. We built the deck, and it was so good against aggro, especially Face Hunter. But it just died because everyone brought Mech Shaman, and together our score throughout the tournament was like 1-8.
Yeah.
In series, like in games played, like 1-8. We've played 9 games total, and we only won 1 of them.
But it was all about the value of the revolutionary strides you made in the Hearthstone meta.
Well, it's because sometimes you have Hellfire when you need like a Dark Bomb.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you have, a Big Game Hunter, and you need a Siphon Soul because you need to gain life as well. Stuff like that. It's just it just seems to be slightly improper, and as a result, it's just a little too reactionary. And against aggro, you're killing yourself even more because you're tapping.
Yeah.
So overall, this is definitely one of the drawbacks of it. And the Mech Shaman is out of the way, which means Savjz has to win with Warrior and Warlock versus the Warlock Warrior Hunter from Chiang.
Now, do you think Savjz, you mentioned earlier he likes the counting, but do you think that might play into his favor if he brings a warrior that's different? like a Control Warrior or a Dragon Warrior. Well, we're not going to see it this time. It is going to be Warlock. Chiang's actually going to switch decks and queue up the Hunter instead.
I have a question for you, TJ.
Sure.
Why do you think people aren't playing Zoo much today? So far. I mean, there's still 2 other players, but
I'm going to be honest.
Haven't seen it much.
I expected more Zoo, especially once I looked at the deck lineup today. I told you earlier, and of course the audience as well, since they can listen in on all of our conversations. I think Warlock or Handlock is really strong right now. And I mean, in Conquest and a lot of deck formats, you can only bring one version of the class. I don't think Zoo is weak. I think Zoo is really strong. I think Zoo and Handlock are both in the top 5 decks. But I think Handlock currently is slightly stronger. So in most situations,
you'd rather bring the stronger deck.
You'd rather bring Handlock. Especially since if both Warlocks are popular, which Warlock beats out the other Warlock? Handlock has the advantage, or at least a lot of people say Handlock has the advantage. So if you're expecting a lot of people to bring Warlock, since both variations of Warlock are strong, are in the top 5, then you might as well bring the one that's stronger. As long as you are okay with playing Warlock Handlock mirror match, which is, I mean, it's brutal.
It can be brutal. As we saw, it was very long and then anticlimactic in a way. Just wasn't really fitting for how epic the game felt.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just came crashing down. In the meantime, if this is Handlock and it's the Face Hunter will start pushing a lot of damage, and Handlock has to just stop it, which is going to be difficult considering how many chargers. If it's Zoo, I mean, the thing about it is you just have to draw the Unleash the Hounds and Knife Juggers and control the state of the board.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off this game, and it looks to be more like the Zoo variant. Savjz has an insane opening hand to control the state of the board.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Yep. That's almost as good as it gets.
Yeah. In this matchup, basically, you control the board for like the first 3 turns, then you race. Like that's basically what this.
Well, Hunter's always racing, but you're talking about the Zoo player?
Yeah, yeah. At a certain point, you have to stop worrying about the board almost completely and just be the one to pile on pressure yourself. Because if you're constantly clearing board, it's inevitable that since your hero power and the Hunter hero power are both damaging you, that you're going to lose if you're constantly clearing the board. You can clear the board to a certain extent, deal with threats that are a little bit bigger, like a Huffer or like an Arcane Golem or something like that. But after the first couple turns, you just flip the switch and just hope you draw into impactful cards like Doomguard or Defender of Argus.
Ooh, kind of a interesting decision, but like I think going for Knife Juggle is a little bit too risky here.
I think Owl on the
Owl is alright, yeah. You still improve. You actually improve the power on the board by suiciding into the Leopard Gnome. Chiang also has one of the secrets in hand, so as much as he did lose that tempo and the card that was ripped from the deck, he still at least gained that. Leok, not terribly impactful. It's the health that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And here we go. The Abusive Sergeant combination will allow him to trade easily. There it is.
Yeah.
And ideally, no matter what happened, he would have clear. But if he shot on the Mad Scientist, then he wouldn't. You can keep one of the 1/1s.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was the right way to do it. Because if you clear up the Mad Scientist first, then it increases the likelihood that your Juggle hits the Leok, which is what you don't want to hit. You either want to hit face or you want to hit the Mad Scientist.
Right.
So playing the Abuse Sergeant first is correct because you increase the likelihood of the Secret going to somewhere. And we have the technology! You can actually see the Secret.
Oh, he forgot to play the Nerubian Egg! Oh no! Savjz actually realized that was a huge mistake. Because now you don't have the 4/4 there. Uh-oh.
That's
sequenced improperly. If he can make it up if he has a Defender of Argus, but that could be a huge difference maker. He's trying not to think too much about it. But,
it's hard to not think about something.
It's hard, you know. In his favor, though, Chiang doesn't have like a super dominant way to respond.
But he's out of cards. He's got a Dr. Boom. He's going to be top decking plus tapping every turn to be able to draw into threats. The difference between having a 4/4 and a 0/2 on the board in this situation
is massive.
Yeah. Kill command face.
Oh, that's another way to get a 4/4 on board.
Well, that's.
How about that?
actually quite convenient because it worked out better for him. It's effectively,
but he would have had 4 more damage.
Yeah, that's true. But the power overwhelming would not have been as flexible because whatever he used it on would have died.
But see, the thing is, he could have used it the following turn then.
Yeah.
So the point is that he wasn't able to get the 4 damage in.
Yeah. I mean, I was just trying to make him feel better, but you just shattered his dreams again.
Oh, man. Quick shot to draw the card and the Arcane Golem. Is there any way for him to salvage this right now?
Oh, 2 juggles per spider. Nope. There's no way. He would have needed exact... Nope. I don't think there was any way that he could
you're right, because of the juggles. He would need the... yeah. He would have needed it to not hit the face so much, but that's it.
Well played.
Yeah.
Now, evaluating what happened here, would that 4 damage from the Nerubian Egg mattered?
No. Because he would have been able to do 4 extra damage that turn, been able to use the power whelming, so it would have been like an extra, even if it was an extra 8 damage, he still would have been at 1 health, wouldn't have been enough. So, an unfortunate misplay, but at the end, it didn't even really matter.
I'm thinking.
In the end, it doesn't even matter.
I'm thinking, and I believe you're right.
Thank you. Thank you, Wise-Tan.
Yeah, it's fine.
Your approval makes me smitten.
Even so, you're not happy with how that actually played if you're Savjz or you're a Savjz fan. Now, on Chiang's side, he stays alive. The Hunter is gone, but the Hunter, I feel like, is that really a big concern? Because I think it could still win against the Warrior as well. So the big thing is, like, can Chiang get consistency out of, like, his Gadgets and Auctioneer, like, draw a bunch of ton, get the Rampage on his Worgen type of Patron Warrior, or is he going to be able to flop with his Warlock? I'm really worried about it.
Yeah, that Warlock, it just seems so inconsistent with how it matches up. Because how is it going to deal with Zoo?
The Warlock?
Yeah, Chiang's Warlock. How is it going to deal with Zoo?
It's got a lot of AoE, so it's got the Hellfire, it's got Shadow Flame, right?
Yeah, but it's hard to activate that Shadow Flame.
And it's got like Implosion. So those are like anti-aggro cards that can help.
I suppose.
I would assume that this Warrior is the big limiting factor here.
Yeah.
But of course, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everyone's like, "No, dude, like Patron Warrior is great." Like I'm always so blown away when I talk to specialists of each deck because they always just turn the matchups on their head. They're like, "Yeah, Priest or Shaman's not that great anymore," and they're Shaman players. Like it's actually okay. And just like no, dude, that's like one of the hardest matchups ever. Well, like, not as much now anymore, but like back then.
It's like hyped with Rogue.
Yeah, Hyped is also another player who I feel like tends to exaggerate his percentages in the sense.
I know.
In sense of like, oh yeah, this is like 70-30. It's like, no way is it that one-sided.
If I wrote down every matchup that he gave Rogue on, I cast him with him week number 1 of the Legendary Series.
Right.
If I wrote down every matchup that he'd have with Rogue, literally, Rogue would be favored in every matchup by at least 20%.
Oh yeah, it's like 60-40.
Yeah,
it's 60-40 for Rogue.
Yeah.
It's like 60-40 for Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, that guy plays a whole lot of Rogue, and if anybody's going to have a favorable matchup against everything with Rogue, it's probably going to be him. But
that's why you have to
really
pull, a group of people, really figure out what's the best. Through a bunch of opinions.
I think me and you can be considered a group. Why don't people just consult us?
We're considered a couple, TJ.
Oh, okay. It's just what I've always wanted.
We pull in someone else, then we become a few, and then after that, it's a group.
Okay.
After that, it's a party. Party of 5. Chiang is going to go with the Warlock. We have Zoo versus the combo lock. Savjz needs to pull out this win with the Zoo. Although Zoo versus the Patron Warrior, how's that for the Patron Warrior? Is it good or bad? I feel like it's good.
I think it's pretty good
for the Patron Warrior because it's got so many small minions.
It's good, but Zoo can pull out games just like they can against everybody. I mean, sometimes Zoo just has an impossible curve to deal with. Sometimes you just have all the answers, and then they draw into like Voidcaller that pulls out a Doomguard into like Mal'Ganis into another Doomguard, and all of a sudden you're dead.
Put this apple on your head.
So I think this matchup is actually pretty rough. All the tech cards that Chiang has are virtually useless against Zoo. And what is the main win condition for hand locks in this matchup? They get a big wall that Zoo can't get through. He can't really set up a big wall with this lock. So even if he managed to get a big AoE and clears, Zoo is one of those. It's not really an aggro deck in the sense that it can easily have second wins. Once its board is cleared, it can easily refill the board and have a second wind and be able to push in a second time. Whereas decks like Mech Shaman, Mech Mage, or Face Hunter can't really do that.
Oh man, Chiang's getting really unlucky on his implosions.
That was a mistake. Rolling low on his implosion was a mistake.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I meant to roll high on that one.
How do you go about this? You can play out the Void Terror and the Haunted Creeper. Tapping is really slow, but you do have Sylvanas and Void Terror as like a way to play the slow matchup.
Yeah.
You're aware of what type of deck this is too. Your opponent's going to try to be playing combo as aggressively, or trying to tap as much as he can. The thing about playing Knife Juggler is that if your opponent if you miss your juggle, your Knife Juggler just dies for free. So if you play Haunted Creeper, it's a better setup for the Knife Juggler.
Yeah. Because you can get double the amount of knives with Haunted Creeper as well as...
Oh, wait, you forget... Oh, you also get the...
Well, if he goes into the Earthring
coin Abusive Sergeant, though.
Yeah. If he goes into the Earthring Crosshair here, I think it's good. Yeah, it worked out nicely.
All right. Well, I was afraid if it misses, but I forgot he had the coin, so you can actually get an extra juggle there.
Yeah, that's sort of a backup plan. Well, the big thing here is when do you throw out Harrison Jones?
You ideally don't, right?
You just never play Harrison Jones?
Well,
you never utilize that card or the body?
You actually aren't entirely sure about what kind of Warlock deck this is either. Because, is it the mid-range Zoo? Because it's got Sylvanas, and I don't know if he's put him on Sylvanas.
Yeah, that's true.
Get in there and fight, maggot!
Just needs one more juggle.
Oh!
Well,
either way it works
it's okay. He's gotten damage to the face. He just, I guess, because it wasn't the smoothest, he didn't get the optimal damage in, but it's okay.
And preserving 1 health on the Knife Juggler here, I think it's the right choice. Hasn't seen Mordekoi yet, so wants to play around that as much as possible. But
I mean, it's doing damage right back at him.
Yeah.
And he's trying to tap. Antique Healbot is pretty huge.
Yeah, but I mean, this is one of the reasons I said you play Hellfire here. He got rid of some Imps, Knife Juggler, and Abusive Sergeant, but now, I mean, if a big threat is played here, or he could just even play Imp Gang Boss and Haunted Creeper and still be able to, still be in a good spot, and that's like the weakest play he could possibly make this to.
His opponent does have Siphon Souls available, so if he plays Sylvanas, I think he's afraid of his opponent just Siphon Souling, and then he loses the ability to build board. Playing Imp Gang Boss and Haunted Creeper is less power, but it's more resilient. Haunted Creeper and Imp Gang Boss allows him to tap, but next turn he has 7 mana, which becomes really awkward. Sylvanas is just a better play for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
More power on board, better curve.
I think a lot of players are really greedy with their Sylvanas.
It's just really tough because you have such a ridiculous combination with Void Terror, but this is not the time to be that greedy. And of course, there's not an easy way to deal with that on Chiang's end. He's got to silence it at best. But then it's not again the fact that Sylvanas is the effect there. Sylvanas is the 5/5 most dominant body on board. That is a lot of damage too, by the way, coming into the hand.
Yep.
And he's just going to make the biggest power overwhelming ever.
Go all in with a Void Terror here.
Oh my goodness.
That's going to... Oh, he thinks, okay, well, he didn't have a way to deal with my Sylvanas.
Spot removal. He doesn't have Siphon Soul at the very least.
Yeah.
But does he have Big Game Hunter? Because this is a 12/12 Void Terror. That is literally Deathwing.
Without the drawback.
Oh! That's Siphon Soul.
Off the tippity top.
Well, I mean, Savjz wasn't super all in on it. It's not like he invested everything into it, but
it's not like his whole hand was double power overwhelming, Abusive Sergeant, and Void Terror.
Ooh, a tap. That is ballsy.
Yeah, very bold indeed.
He has damage, right? He's got Arcane Golem Powerwhelming, so he's got 8.
Yeah. Plus a
Dark
from
Bomb,
the Dark
so
Bomb,
that's
that's
11.
14, 15, 16. 16 damage total. It's actually getting close to lethal with this board.
Right. Now, when Chiang attacks the face that aggressively instead of control stays the board, that's something that's like, Savjz is like, okay, I have to be a little bit careful. Twisting Nether! What? Dude!
That's another removal. He's going to Twisting Nether.
He is going to flush everything into the void.
That is cool. And it's all gone. Where did it all go?
I don't know. Savjz also tosses the coin for the flare. Doesn't want to waste a single thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's dealt. Okay, if he draws the faceless, that's not enough. That's not enough mana to do everything, right?
No.
Man, despite all of this, Savjz is still putting on pressure to win.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm telling you, man, it's like this deck. There's so many times where you feel like, okay, I should be all right now, but it's just always like on the edge. You just need the right removal at the right time. He can kill it with Arcane Golem and Powerwhelming, but that's like a last resort. Or I guess Arcane Golem and Dark Bomb. But those are like all like, I really don't want to have to do this.
yeah. I mean, essentially, he has stabilized here. I mean,
Until
he can,
second Doomguard.
until second Doomguard. But he's been through a lot of threats. I mean, he's seen Power Overwhelming. He actually hasn't seen a lot of the smaller end. Mal'Ganis could be problematic. But he's seen, he's seen Sea Giant, he's seen one Doomguard, he's seen Void Terror, he's seen a Power Overwhelming.
Ah, that's a pretty good draw.
Now he can start dealing with the board as is, building up his own threats, and all of a sudden Savjz has to tap every turn, and he's tapping for small threats. Getting lower and lower and lower.
Until, I mean, he has Void Caller, so he has to have Mal'Ganis somewhere in here.
Oh, Dr. Boom.
Did you say that there were small threats in this deck?
Yep. But that's not one of them.
Ironbeak Owl, he's wondering if he can save it for, what, the Sludge Belchers instead?
Yeah. I don't think you have the luxury of being able to hold off on something like that.
Oh, man. He's going to draw first. Kazan Mystic, he's drawing all of his tech cards. 3 out of the 4 tech cards that he introduced into his deck are all in his hand. They're not good.
Pretty weak bodies by themselves without the special effect.
The thing is, he can't also kill everything. Something's going to survive on the board. If he kills Dr. Boom, which most likely will be the case, these Boom bots survive.
Yeah.
Boom bots do magical, wonderful things sometimes.
Yeah. He wants to put as much health on the board as possible. Either playing Harrison Jones or Kazan Mystic would effectively put the same amount of health. This also gives him the special effect of reducing the cost of those creatures.
Goodness. Whoa! How much damage is
4?
this?
That's 8. But one of those Boombots going to die at the end of the turn.
Right. You do it because you restrict him to no more tapping. He could realistically win the game right here.
He's got a 1 in 3 chance to hit face with this Boombot.
He also can
afterwards.
trade onto the board and guarantee himself. Like he's like wondering if he should go for this 1 in 3. The 1 in 3 has a 75% chance of landing.
Yeah. I think, like you said, you go for face for both just to put him at no tap.
Right. No tap is really powerful.
Aye.
If he hits the face, it's a 50% chance to at least do that. Okay, so it's the net result. Oh.
Wow. 2 health.
I mean, that implosion, if it hits 3 or higher.
He could. So he sets up lethal for next turn.
Yeah, and now Savjz needs to
Doomguard.
Doomguard.
Or Mal'Ganis would buy him a turn.
Mal'Ganis would buy him a turn.
Doomguard off the top.
Shadow Flame.
Shadow Flame. Void Caller.
Yeah, it helps keep him alive.
Yeah.
But for how long? I mean, Chiang can't tap unless he picks up the
Anti-Kill
bot or something equivalent.
Oh!
Oh, that's exactly
That's it.
lethal.
Wow. The exact card that he needed.
Yeah, that ends the game right here, and the gamble that Savjz did with the Boom bots unfortunately did not work out. Really back and forth. Like, not having the Siphon Soul and drawing it immediately up for that 12-12 Void Terror was also a huge thing, too.
And only 1 card. out. He couldn't tap on the last. He was at 2 health. That's exciting.
Yeah, that was a really fun finish of the game. And remember, Chiang couldn't tap, like you were saying, so that was the last card that he could have afforded to end the game, of course, just tossing it back in Savjz, who would have had 2 cards to go for it.
Yeah.
And you're talking about when does Harrison get played? Well, I guess that's when you have literally nothing else.
Nothing else to play, and you just need 5 damage in order to get lethal.
Yeah.
And Harrison actually won the game.
Well, I would argue that a few other things won the game.
Nope.
You know,
Just Harrison.
The boom bots, the way it kind of panned out. Hitting the implosion was also really big because if he didn't hit the implosion for 3 or higher, then he would have to trade into it. Harrison would have been on board. Shadow Flame would have cleared it. A lot of factors. I mean, that's partially why a lot of people, when they look at that game, they just immediately write it off as RNG. Which, to be fair, there is a lot of the randomness in that.
Yeah.
But that's part of what makes it pretty entertaining to see it because, I mean, there's a lot of decisions and assumptions that went into it. For example, Savjz going into that turn saying, you don't have Siphon Soul, and then Chiang happened to draw.
Yeah.
It happens. It's card games.
He would have been dead the next turn.
It's card games.
It is Hearthstone, after all. All right, well, this is a deck that you touted as being sort of a liability here, the Warrior deck for Chiang.
Well,
how is it going to beat?
I don't know. I don't even know what Warrior deck Savjz has.
That's true. We have not seen it yet. Could be Patron Warrior, could be Control Warrior, could be Dragon Warrior, could be my trademarked, patented, famous Hobgoblin Warrior.
No.
Posted on Twitter the other day. It's practically the #1 deck in the world.
Yeah, you're okay, TJ. You're like cutting up your phrases.
It's for
kind of sporadic.
It's for dramatic effect.
Gotcha.
Because people are like, they're waiting on my word. They're saying, what is it? What deck is it? Hobgoblin Warrior?
This
it must
even
be good.
Make sense.
He paused for dramatic effect.
Savjz misses his turn 1. Chiang has a turn 1, but this is such a weird combination of stuff. Does he want to inner raise so he can get 2 1s? What is this?
Whoa! So aggressive and edgy.
I mean, it kind of works.
Yeah.
I'm getting boss fights for it, though. Question is, does Chiang have enough time to withstand pressure so that way he can get Grim Patron combos? You can also Rampage this. What?
Oh!
Rampage for like a 5/4 and you just start pressuring? And then you coin Gnomish Inventor?
Well, okay, so if you Rampage, you're basically saying, well, Power Overwhelming just screws me over.
Yeah, but if you don't, because no one keeps Power Overwhelming, you're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, that's true, especially against Warrior.
I don't understand how this deck's working like this. Wait, oh, he's trading, so he can create another 2/1.
Yeah, well, so he basically keeps the same board, removes the egg. And that could have punished him with the Abusive Starch coming out the next turn.
Yeah, he hedged his bets.
Why do you
Oh, got one.
Huh. Well, now he coins out the Gnomish Inventor. Gnomish Inventor needs to pick up like something big. A weapon would be great. He has War Song for the combination attack.
But that's a lot of turns away.
Yep.
I mean, he's only going to be coming up on 4 mana. He's going to have to hold off the game for that long.
Yeah. The hard thing, too, is it doesn't seem like he's got a really good, well, I was going to say a good source of card draw, but he just drew his gadgets in.
Wow.
So does he utilize and execute now just so he can kill off his Knife Juggler?
The Knife Juggler? I think so. I don't think he can afford to armor pass here.
There's just too many big threats, though. You know Sylvanas and Dr. Boom are in the deck.
But are you going to be able to make it to those big threats alive?
Would you rather use Whirlwind here than execute? Actually, you can use Whirlwind and execute everything, but then you pull out a demon.
And then if you use Whirlwind and execute,
right,
go to the board and it pulls out a Doomguard.
Doomguard or Mal'Ganis or something really awful.
Then what do you do?
Well, then you die.
What?
It's very true.
But if he doesn't pull anything out, no demons, you survive. No guarantee that you win, but you survive. The really fun thing about in-game boss is the dynamic that it has with Grim Patron with charge.
Because you can get like infinite.
You just keep getting so much.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's happy once he saw the demon being pulled, that there was a demon, that it's actually in game boss. Huh. That's
Void Terrors, next turn.
Yeah. Can actually use the Abusive Sergeant as well on the egg to get an attack, sort of activate the first portion, and then Void Terror to make a bigger Void Terror and push in more damage.
It's kind of like the same thing. If you actually eat the Abusive Sergeant, it's less of a liability as well.
Yeah, true. Because it's 2-attack minion, gets eaten up by Grim Patron, gets killed by Whirlwind effects anyway.
Oh, he's got Shadow Flame. We forgot about that. Shadow Flame is really important for the Grim Patrons to come out.
Yes, I mean, you can essentially turn almost anything into a good Shadow Flame target for Grim Patrons. Anything with 3 attack or more, which you can get with an Abusive Sergeant, or you can power overwhelming something tiny and use that as a Shadow Flame target.
Yeah.
Maybe Shadow Flame is Sylvana. Still a big threat. Hey.
So Whirlwind with the Grim Patron actually doesn't accomplish much.
Nope. Because it just gets traded into anyway. Essentially wasted those 2 cards. Has to just... Whoa!
Dr. Boom.
That's rough.
He's almost out of time.
Yeah.
Chiang needs to make big plays soon.
And I don't know what big plays he has. He's 1 turn away from being able to use the combo. Fire War Axe doesn't change too much. None of these targets are really good.
Sand Whirlwind.
To clear off boom bots?
Well, it won't create another 1/1 from the Imp Gang boss.
That's true.
So it just dies to 1 hit.
Yeah, you draw a card, but there's a decent chance
it
that...
also gains you some life.
Yeah.
Okay. He's using the Armor Smith because he just wants to be super safe. 2 damage. 4 damage total. And he's going to attack this Void Caller and summon out the Void Terror instead, but is that lethal? No, he's 2 damage short.
Oh, 2 damage. There's a lot of sources. Power Overwhelming, Doom Guard, second Abusive Sergeant.
And that's
there it is.
Game over. So, Deck finally takes a game. Savjz had to play 3 in order to get it. But it's going to go down to Game 5. And whether or not he can win with Warrior versus Warrior is yet to be seen.
Yeah, we haven't seen Savjz's Warrior deck yet. We don't know what type of Warrior it is.
Yeah, we threw out the possibility that he could be playing Dragon Warrior, considering Dragon Warrior was one of the decks that he tried, really utilizing for a while.
Yeah.
We also think that Grim Patron is also possible because it's just really a strong deck. A lot of players put it as their #1 deck at the moment.
I see that opinion shifting slightly over the past week.
Yeah. What's the #1 deck then?
Handlock.
Handlock, really? Oh, interesting.
It's still Grim Patron Warrior. Like, talking to players, the overwhelming response is still Patron Warrior's the strongest deck. But there's more people this week that say other decks besides Grim Patron Warrior than there was the week before. Like the Liquid Power rankings, I mean, the players that contributed to that said, they all unanimously said Grim Patron Warrior.
Yeah.
Including Savjz.
It's great.
But I think that's going to change.
Well, eventually, things will have to change. Grim Patron can't stay on top forever. A lot of people are really starting to tech against it.
Yeah, with more Harrison Jones plopped in.
Or, for example, like Paladin threw in Thalnos so that their consecrations can hit for 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and Handlocks. Already strong matchup through an Ooze.
And 2 Warsong Commanders apply double the Patron.
All right. Well, let's do a little bit of theory crafting here. How do you think Savjz's, which would probably be a more standard Grim Patron Warrior matchup against a Gadget Sand Auctioneer, Dragon Egg, Rampage Warrior?
I really think the early board is not as impactful as is the mid-game board. Chiang starts off first, so he gets the mana initiative, but if Savjz just utilizes the coin correctly, he'll be fine.
2 most important cards in this matchup. Deathbite, Grim Patron. In that order. If you can get Deathbite on turn 4, Grim Patron, Inner Rage, and Deathbite on turn 5, you basically win the game. There have been some Grim Patron Warrior players that have been teching in 1 brawl for the mirror matchup and for like an emergency against Zoo. I've seen like 2 or 3 over the past couple of days. I can't remember. It might have been Hot Form, perhaps, that was doing it on stream the other day. Somebody was. Helps against the mirror, but it's also very inconsistent in other matchups because sometimes it works against your own board and can sometimes be a dead card. But
Dragon Egg. Now, answer me this. If you attack it with a Death Bite, does it kill off the Dragon Whelp?
I
Is
think
it
so.
like an order if it was played? Kind of like...
Well, because it Imp Gang Boss kills the Imp.
I mean,
I imagine it'd be the same effect.
I kind of understand why this is in the deck, because if you get the Whirlwinds off, it's more charge damage. It's just so fascinating to me, though. Because I feel like it's just idealistic, kind of like, oh yeah, I could use Dragon Egg with Wild Pyromancer and get the one sweep and spawn things. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if you're going to play this, I would even... no. I was going to say Nerubian Eggs. Because eventually you know that you're going to have enough Whirlwind effects for them to die.
Yeah.
They don't get the charge effect from Warsong Commander, but like you said, that's sort of wishful thinking. That you're going to have a Dragon Egg on the board that's going to take residual damage while you have Warsong Commander on the board, and you're going to be able to utilize the damage right away.
Right. Thirsty.
It's really weird. Didn't work out for him too well last game. I mean, it was cute. It was a nice play. Gave him a slight edge on like turn 1 with the Inner Rage, but after that it was not the best.
Well, Savjz gives up his Death by Death Rattle. Chiang could easily swing it if he draws his own Grim Patron. Instead, he draws another Fire War Axe. That's a dud. Might end up just using Battle Rage here to draw some cards first. Oh, I guess Acolyte makes sense too.
And he gets a Dragon Whelp. I think that's what it's called.
You get less off the Battle Rage though. So. Or I guess you get the same. Never mind. You forget the damage action.
Yeah. Another Battle Rage.
Leaves the cool Taskmaster. Really wants to keep that Inner Rage going.
It's not a good hand.
Yeah.
Double Warsong Commander, double Fiery War Axe. You want like singles of those pieces because you'd rather have that second Warsong Commander be a Grim Patron. You'd rather have that second Fiery War Axe be something like a Deathbite.
You would execute that Acolyte, right, to deny card draw?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to do?
In the mirror matchup. One of the most important things in this matchup is card draw. Because the first person to draw into the pieces that they need the combo to flood the board and overwhelm.
Speak to me.
That's cute. Slamming your own Acolyte to draw 2 cards.
Yeah. A lot of really high-rated Patron Warrior players will say 9 times out of 10 executing the Acolyte of Pain is the correct play.
Where do you get these statistics, man?
I talked to
It's
players
just
a lot.
funny, man. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Well, like it's not a statistic.
You said 9 out of 10. That's very much like surveyed dentist degree.
Well, even those statistics are made up.
What? So the 5th dentist actually did approve of Trident?
No.
Oh.
They pay all those dentists. They're literally
Wow.
Trident's dentists.
I'm about to blow your mind even further. Those aren't actually dentists.
What are they? If they're not dentists, what could they be?
Wow, another Whirlwind, by the way. That really stinks.
Yeah. Really does. 9 times out of 10, that really stinks.
You know what they are? They're paintings. They're all paintings on the walls.
Flashbacks.
Another Battle Rage.
Oh, there's a Patron.
Finally.
Oh, Patron. He has Warsong Commander, Grim Patron, Inner Rage, and Whirlwind. That's a power play that's going to win you a game.
Yeah, he's got it next turn.
But he gave up his Inner Rage.
Okay.
Bold move.
It is a bold move.
I actually don't like that. I think letting the Emperor Thorstein survive 1 turn longer might even be a better choice than to Inner Rage it.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's going to die next turn anyway because of the residual damage from Whirlwind. You have another Warsong Commander in hand, so you don't need to protect the one that you have on the board. You still have enough mana to Whirlwind and Inner Rage. Seems like he got a little bit ahead of himself. But, I mean, it's a safer play. He has taken quite a bit of damage over the course of the game from using his weapons to attack. He might be afraid that letting Emperor Thorstein survive 1 more turn might open up too many options.
Sure.
For Savjz. Which, as you can see, he actually has quite a few options.
Yeah, he was hovering over Gromosh. I was thinking about the best way to set it up, because Gromosh could do if he doesn't have execute and he doesn't have good cards to answer him, he hypothetically could just do Gromosh attacks twice if he used Cruel Taskmaster and the Gromosh. I think that's a little idealistic considering the circumstances. But he is getting rid of one Warsong Commander.
Yeah. But playing a Cruel Taskmaster on turn 8.
How do you deal with this? He needs execute or bust. Savjz is like basically saying, you don't have execute, and if you do, whatever. I'm going to win regardless of it because I have more ways to card draw and pressure you.
Or, you know, he can just Warsong Commander, Grim Patron into the Cruel... Oh, no, you can't, because then Warwind will only give him one more. So you're right, he wouldn't be able to deal with that. Even if he throws all of his Grim Patrons in, the most he can put on that would be 6 damage. Whirlwind, it would put it at 1.
Right.
Oh!
That was a really impressive calculation on Savjz's end.
Indeed. He's thinking, okay, without Emperor Thorsan, what are the... Aside from Execute, what are all the possible combinations of cards that he could use? The only one would be using Inner Rage on a Grim Patron.
Right. Or Unstable Ghoul with like a Frothing Berserker.
Yep.
That would have been able to do it.
But all those are really unlikely. So now Chiang can't do a combo.
He might have to just draw for Execute.
Yeah.
I mean, this is for the tournament life, by the way. If Chiang loses, this is it.
Yeah. Chiang has a lot of green clothes.
That's right.
Pretty much every layer is green. It's just a different shade of green.
He's going for the Execute, and he doesn't get it. So that means it's over.
Wow!
Chiang's path has stopped, and Savjz is going to the finals. Really close series once again. As looks like we'll have Savjz in the finals once more of the ESL Legendary Series Season 2. But this time around, he's feeling pretty good. I think he has a good mix of decks.
Yeah.
I feel like his lineup's better well-rounded than the previous weeks where he had Hobgoblin Paladin and he's really aggressive decks.
Still made it to the finals with that slew of very aggressive decks. And I mean, that was a close series, though. You got to give it up for Chiang for bringing
cool stuff,
unique Dragon Egg and Rampage, Gadgets and Auctioneer. You talked about his Miracle Warrior that was popularized. It was posted online. There was some articles about it, even in English, posted about the Miracle Warrior that he made. This is sort of like the evolution of that post Grim Patron. So really cool by him. Of course, we won't be seeing him again. Yeah. Doesn't have a chance to compete in the Last Chance qualifier, but it was really exciting to watch him over the course of the Legendary Series.
And that wraps up our third match of the day. It's technically the fourth because Trump did get the walkover win from Bub Senpai, who wasn't able to make it today. But that's all right. Trump is going to be going up against Ignite, and the winner of that faces off against Savjz. And between these three players, I wouldn't mind all three of them come to the land, but only one of them can.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. It's winner takes all. The winner goes to the land finals. All the other players, the other two players, don't get anything. There's no monetary prizes. So a lot on the line for these guys. But, of course, second semifinal, Trump versus Ignite, right after this break.